Good morning, New York City and my listeners around the world. This is your host, Elizabeth Tripp, the creator and founder of my premier podcast, Nourish the Soul, and my private practice here in New York City. I am an intuitive healer and empowerment coach, and I help transform people's lives. And it's the second week of the new year, 2019. And we're starting the second series of the Be Fit Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. We're talking about truly cleansing. And the thing is that I love about my work, what I truly have so much passion for about is that I love to empower people to get what they want out of their lives, and particularly around their health and well-being. And the new year is such a powerful time. It's a place where people are setting intentions, they're writing out their goals, they're taking actions to reach their achievements and really see their personal successes to come to fruition. And whether you want to lose weight, or if you want to improve your energy levels, or if you want to just, know how to access, a sense of vitality, or really shift your thoughts and feelings about your life and discover a purpose or rediscover your purpose, Nourish the Soul is for you. It's an incredibly innovative, different, new kind of work. And it's an enlightening approach. And on the podcast, I love to bring listeners on a journey of self-discovery, really one where they can reach deeper into themselves, begin to sit back, relax, and explore what it is that this podcast is offering them, because my messages will create shifts within you when you're open and you're ready to hear them. When you're open and ready to hear them. And I know that if you're listening to this podcast up on Facebook, or if you're, tuning in on any of my major platforms, you've been guided here for a reason. And there's no coincidence that you're tuning in, because there's a deep part of you that is wanting to transform, that is wanting to let go of old ways, that you have something that you're ready to conquer for yourself and see a big shift in your life. And you've recruited the right person. I'm ready. I'm so excited. And I have so much energy around tonight's podcast, or today's podcast. That I'm already, you can hear it in my voice, just really ready to share. I have one thing I do want to comment before we dive right in, is that, I just launched my online program, and it is called Be Fit Mind, Body, and Soul. So these next couple of weeks, these podcasts, the series of 4, is really a supplement to the program. But the program itself actually has exclusive information. It is a online virtual retreat where you receive video coaching, you have workbook, you have high vibrational recipes, you have access to meditations, and it's a lifetime access. Once you purchase this course, you can retake it as many times as you want, and you can revisit it for the rest of your life. And the price is absolutely so fantastic. I just finished a deal, so those of you tuning in, sorry you missed it, but yesterday was the last day of $100 off. So moving forward, it's $249, but totally worth it, and totally the opportunity to really go through each of the 6 steps to transform your health, to lead the life you truly deserve. We will be going through all 6 steps, and I will be empowering you to shift really incredible things in your life, the way you're thinking, feeling, how you let go of your thoughts and feelings, how you really get to the root of these unwanted guests inside your body, how to clear that out, and then how to really reconnect with body and then foster a deeper connection with your soul. That's essentially the program. And it's so fun. I actually had a client already comment to me the other day, and I'm going to read out what the client said. She's, on step 2, going into step 3 of the program, and she's going on the 3rd week next week. So she said, wow. Okay. I had no idea the kinds of things I have been feeling and thinking until I started learning how to be mindful of my feelings. So the course already has been eye-opening, and it's just week 1. That is what a recent client just shared with me, who is now in next week going on to her 3rd step. So she's already seeing transformation and shifts, and couldn't believe that she was thinking and saying some of these things to herself, and having unhealthy thoughts about herself or her current circumstance, and realizing that this wasn't serving her. So, just to recap, last week we talked about the first step to cleansing, and I really helped all of you see that in order to really, have true health, we all have to open ourselves up to the foundation that there's 3 aspects to ourselves. And that is that we are mind, body, and soul. And these 3 aspects of ourselves are not separate from each other, but that they work together in tandem. And in order to achieve ultimate health, we actually have to work to bring these 3 elements of ourselves together. We have to work to actually bring them together so that they can harmoniously come together, join in alignment, which then creates an incredible power within ourselves. We have an incredible amount of awareness for our mind, awareness for our body. And we can start to then allow the soul to be the driver's seat of our life. And I said, I know that most of you, or if not all of you, are looking to really transform their health. It's the new year. It's sort of the trend that we find, our entire lives. We've been hearing about, I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm going to quit drinking, or I'm going to quit eating bad. I'm going to go to the gym full time. And if we focus on just the eating and just the working out, we're actually walking in a secular view of ourselves. And that's not what true health is. True health is bringing into alignment all 3 aspects of ourselves: the mind, body, and soul. And so we were all in agreement with that. As far as I know, I didn't hear any comments on the live or anybody reaching out and letting me know that they didn't believe that. And so we also went on to explain that the first step to feelings you're having, and really seeing that once you can tune into the feelings and thoughts of your mind, you can begin to start to ask yourself, do I want to feel this way, and how have I been thinking, and are these thoughts really serving me, and are they really creating powerful actions for me in my life? Because the way we feel really directs how we think, and how we think is really directing our behavior. And our behavior either creates healthy habitual patterns in our life or unhealthy habitual patterns in our life. So, we also discovered that to truly cleanse, we have to become mindful of our feelings and thoughts. One must become present to what they are thinking and feeling. And we must be able to then begin to say, do I like that? Do I enjoy what I've been thinking and saying to myself? Or would I like to let these thoughts and feelings go? Because when I asked you guys, if your mind is super full, if your mind is really cluttered with a lot of feelings, and therefore as a result a lot of thoughts, how how true of an alignment can we have really with our body? Because we're so cluttered with our mind. Our mind is very racy. We're thinking a lot of things automatically. We're often distracted. It may be hard to focus. We're trigger happy. A lot of things make us angry or upset. So we have very little space to connect to body. And when we're not really fully connected in tune with body, then we are often very surprised when we get sick, or when we don't feel well, or when we have low energy. And that is actually soul coming in and saying, hey, there's something going on here, pay closer attention. But because our mind is so cluttered, and we're so full of feelings and thoughts, we can't even access soul self, even though soul self is saying, pay attention to me. And so, our first step to cleansing that we learned last week is really paying more close attention to our thoughts and feelings. And, folks, that's the first step in my online course. And you would get more exclusive coaching and more tailored and specific direction with getting clear with your thoughts and feelings when you enroll into the program. So again, the podcast is really a supplement. It's not meant to give you all the answers. So you actually have to sign up to the course to get all the answers, or you have to sign up to work with me. Head over to my website, elizabethmtripp.com, and sign up to have a session with me. We could get you powerful with your thoughts and feelings in a matter of 2 hours. So we want to today. I know you guys are all curious and um, really wanting to know more about the second step to truly cleansing, and that is getting fit with food. So we see, this time of year, the lines at the grocery store, they're long. People are spending more time in the produce section. They're avoiding the middle aisles with all the chips and the cookies and the snacks and all those things. And we're seeing that people have a belief. I even polled a majority of you on Facebook. People have a belief that food is the determinant of their health, and that it is the way that people then access the true source of well-being within. And people take that really seriously. And during this time of year, they often go on, diets. We can call them fads because there's a different one each year or every couple of years. And they say, once I follow this, then I'll be healthy and I'll be happy and I'll lose the weight and I'll feel really good. And I told everyone on my live that I had on my Facebook yesterday, I said, I'm going to shake things up. I'm going to actually shake things up with what you guys are, a majority of you thinking is true. Because the thing about Nourish the Soul is I. I am innovative. I go against the grain. A lot of my messages are things that people haven't quite really thought about or have, broadened their perspective on. And I'm okay not being a sheep in the crowd. I'm actually outside of the crowd, and I stand really powerfully in my message, and I say, I'm offering you something different. So for those of you who are tuning into the podcast, whether it's on Spotify or iTunes or Stitcher, or if you're listening through iHeartRadio, or if perhaps you're tuning in through my Facebook live stream, elizabeth.tripprd, going to be streaming live on Wednesdays throughout January at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You are choosing to open yourself up to a new and very spiritually guided message, something where we're all going to be sharing from a soul perspective what food really is and how to get fit with it, because that is how you truly, the second part of cleansing is getting fit with it. So how do we start? How do we start our journey with getting fit with food? Well, it comes back to this last week's discussion that our thoughts and feelings really direct our inward and outward reality. How we feel on the inside directly is influencing a thought that we have. You know, if we feel grumpy on the inside, then we will notice if we pay more attention, our thoughts are rather grumpy. And if we're feeling grumpy on the inside and we're riding on the train and we're thinking on the train, I hate being here. Everybody's like, so loud, and that guy smells, and that person's sitting next to me too closely. You start to pay more attention to the things that are grumpy in your life. Your life actually becomes grumpy. So your feelings direct your thoughts, which direct your outward reality, which ultimately comes from an inward reality. So that is the foundation. And really what I want you guys to start seeing is if we're not feeling healthy, we're likely not thinking very healthfully. The example of on the train, we're thinking that person's sitting too close to me and they're just so annoying and they smell. And we're truly not in alignment with our mind, body, and soul. We are giving an extraordinary amount of power to our mind. And yes, the mind is a very highly crafted machine. It is very powerful. But our soul self is actually even more powerful than the mind. Our true self is even more powerful than the mind. And we really want to take back the power and start to redirect our feelings and thoughts so that we can begin to shift our health and well being. Because if we're not feeling that great, and when we get off the train and we've had someone nearly fall asleep on us and they've invaded our personal space and we're even more grumpier, and we pass by the pizza place and we smell it and we see it, and we're like, screw it, I'm just going to go get 2 or 3 slices of pizza because that sounds so good and it's going to taste so good and it's going to take my mind off of all this crappy stuff that's happening for me. So did you guys all hear that? It happens all the time. Okay. Here's another example. For example, when you're sick, I interestingly, I got sick on Friday, and I know exactly why. I know exactly why, and it came on full force with a real vengeance. And Friday night and Saturday night, I sat in several different meditations, and within 48 hours, I'd literally gone from being completely knocked off my feet to 100% better. I mean, night and day. And it was because I really tuned into my soul self and I said, what is it that I need to clear from my body and help me access this energy and let me clear it out? And I literally did. But going back to this example, I bet a majority of your thoughts, okay, a majority of you, when you guys get sick, are, I can't believe I'm sick. Which if we listen to that thought very carefully, just slowing down our minds, I can't believe I'm sick, we're actually reaffirming to the body, we are sick. We're reaffirming, okay? Instead of powerfully shifting the conversation and stating, no, my body's healthy. I'm strong. I'm well right now. I know my soul self is super powerful, and within me is a wealth of health and vitality. I am healthy. This is just a little nudge from my soul self to clear something out, to get present to something that I've been feeling. Um, Saying this, I realize, actually sounds really different. And many of you are like, that's silly, or that's kind of funny. And that's okay. I totally get it. It is different, but you'd actually be reaffirming that your health and well-being is something we already have. Yes, your health and well-being is something we already have deep within. No one has probably ever told you that. No one has probably ever, you've never gone to a doctor and a doctor has said, well, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Your health and well-being is inside of you. I bet that has never happened. And if it has, I want to know what doctor this is so we can have a chat. I'd love to invite them on the podcast. So that is my perspective. I believe deep within our body we have our soul self. And remember, so we're not looking at ourself as secular, but really a three-part moving energy being. And we're seeing that the real, true, power and vitality and happiness comes from the soul. And that the mind, yes, it's a really, really powerful, highly crafted machine. And the body is incredibly intelligent too. But that core soul self is so connected to a incredible divine energy. We can call it whatever you guys want. You can call it universe, you can call it creator, you can call it God, you can call it whatever you want, but there is an incredible energy within our body, within our self, that is being directed through a connection to a divine source of energy. It is a part of this energy. We have been gifted it through our creation, and within it we have been given everything, health and well-being included. And it is our purpose on our soul journey to really reawaken to this knowledge so that we can learn and grow and really claim the things that we want, and then actually dictate our reality, create the lives that we truly deserve, because you all deserve to be healthy and happy. You really do. You all deserve that. And so, just to repeat, 80% of you said that what you eat is how you sustain optimal health and how you experience a true source of well being. And I am going to say, no, I disagree. This is not true in Nourish the Soul's perspective. And in today's podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you even more how food is a tool to learn more deeply about ourselves, to empower us. Listen to this, to empower us to break free from perceived limitations and to propel us essentially on a path to achieve ultimate health and well being, the foundation of personal success, and reconnecting us to a source of life we already have within. We already have it within. And I know that's an incredibly new concept when it comes to the arena of health and well being and food and exercise. But food and exercise are enhancements. They can be enhancements, or they can actually hinder us. So they are not the determinants. They are not the life source energy for our ultimate health and well-being. That's my belief. And I want to help you begin to see why I believe this, and ultimately empower you to begin to open and expand your mind and your heart to this concept. Because when you do, I will be able to then help you transform your health, transform your well being, transform your life, and guide you to empower yourself to reclaim your power, your health, your well being, your personal successes that you want to achieve in 2019. That is my goal. That is why I do what I do. So, health and well being, guys, is an inside job. It's an inside job. Remember, the first step to cleansing was to get present, aware of what we're thinking and what we're feeling. That's an inside job. Nothing on the outside can do that for us. It requires that we actually slow down and we pause and we begin to investigate. It requires us to do some work. And you have to do the work and actually to see the transformation. Okay? You do. And so it's an inside job. And the foods that we eat and the exercise that we do, they do not solely determine your energy level. They don't. And I really want to debunk the idea that what you eat is how you sustain optimal health and ask you all, this is the question, okay? This is the question out there. I want to ask you all, if what if your health, okay, starts with the quality of your thoughts and how you feel on the inside? What if the quality of your health starts with your thoughts and how you feel on the inside? Can anybody disagree with that? It truly starts on the inside. Yes, certain foods can affect how we feel, but we ultimately have the power to decide how we feel. Our mind uh, is the powerhouse for our thoughts and feelings. No food or no exercise can determine that. We always have the choice to decide how we want to feel, and we can choose to eat different foods and we can choose to exercise, but they are not the actual determinants of how we feel. They can definitely influence it, but it is not the source of how we feel. Okay, so as energy beings, we will always have feelings. It's how we're hardwired, and being an extra sensitive empath, I can feel everything, like when I meet a person, I can automatically feel their energy, what they're thinking, how their current life is going. And I literally have to take a second to go and put a little bit of an energy shield between me and that person. I choose to do that because if I don't, then I'm taking on all of their energy. I'm taking on all of their emotion, and I'm then having to disseminate, is this mine or theirs? And I've gotten very powerful, so very quickly I can say, this is not mine. I don't feel that way ever anymore, and so I can clear that out. But many of you out there are just, you don't know how to manage your gifts of feeling. It can often feel overwhelming for you. You often don't know that you're taking on a lot of stuff on a consistent basis, and it's influencing your thoughts, and it's actually influencing your then behavior with your whole self, particularly food and body as it relates to today's podcast. So listen to this. When your thoughts are in a high vibration, okay, so let's just say you cleared out all this stuff that you've been taking on, like maybe you were with your best friend and you notice they're very, like, they're sad and there's something going on with them, and you just spent the day with them, and then you go back to your house and you feel sad, and there's nothing going wrong in your life. Your life is pretty okay. And you're like, why do I feel sad? Right? And so your vibration is lower. You're not feeling that great. But let's just say you clear that out. You let that go. It's then that your thoughts become higher vibration. You start to say, "Oh, I feel better. I feel good. I'm clear." And this is when you have the power to unlock the door for you to access the true self, the true source of life within you. When you're carrying feelings, when you're carrying thoughts that are not healthy and you haven't let them go, you are actually walking in a lower vibration, and you're blocking the door for you to access a true source of health within. The moment you clear yourself is the moment that you can enter into a higher vibration and you can feel better. But you got to choose to do that. And yeah, you could go eat a bunch of berries, and you could go eat all organic, and you could go eat, never have a meat or a fish ever. But I guarantee you that you wouldn't reach your maximum potential in terms of feeling super full of vitality and walking in a sense of ultimate health. There would always be something a little bit missing. because it's a part of our journey to actually clear out the things that don't serve us anymore so that we can learn and grow and really learn our soul's lessons. That's why we're here, to really learn what it is that we came here to set out to accomplish. And our relationship with food can be a incredible tool to do that. Okay. So let's move forward here. So I want to help illustrate this perspective this morning by going right into a personal share. And I realize I'm on a new time, so if anybody is on the live, you can certainly comment, or if you watch this video, post on Facebook, and you want to comment, post the show, feel free. But I'm gonna segue into the personal share, because that's a big part of Nourish the Soul. Is I designed this podcast to be a space where I could share my own past experiences, allow my listeners to see the vulnerability that I have and the human parts of myself, and how I have really worked through some very difficult challenges in my life, and in particularly around food. Food has in the past been a very big challenge for me. I had a contract with it from a soul perspective. That was one that really led me to my current purpose. So to start, I used to think food was love. I used to think food was love. And I used to think food was also the enemy. And I can remember feeling this way probably from the age of probably 7 or 6. I can remember my mom gave me, we were out camping, and I'm certain my brothers and sisters, maybe there was some fighting, and it was a camping trip with 4 kids. There's a lot to manage, so there probably was some sense of anxiety, even though it was a great trip. But my mom handed me a big king size bag of Doritos, and this is like 1990. I don't know, I want to say like 92 or 93. So Doritos were just like something brand new. Like they were like you Dorito was awesome. So I got handed a king size bag of Doritos, and I'm probably maybe 6, I think, maybe 6 or 7. And I, as a 6 or 7 year old, ate the entire bag. I ate the entire bag of Doritos, and every chip feeling like, oh, that feels so good. And I love the way that tastes. And, not even tuning into a hunger or, a fullness at all. And, an hour later, I physically got sick, and my family laughs about it. They kind of say, you remember when you ate the whole king size bag of Doritos and then you threw them all up? And it's, kind of a joke, but when I look back on it, I was using food as a way to comfort myself, because I was so sensitive to energy, and I was so sensitive to the way others were feeling, and that began a journey of that. I didn't stop there. You'd think after eating a king size bag of Doritos, I would have stopped, but I didn't, because I used to think food was love. And in that same experience, I thought, oh, what an enemy food was. That hurt. That was disgusting. I didn't like getting sick like that. But it didn't change my behavior, because I used to think food was the determinant of my worth. Yeah, just listen to that again. I used to think food was the determinant of my worth. How healthy I am, how good I am, or how bad I am, how strong I am, or how weak I am, how happy I was, or how sad or mad I was. What do you think happened to me when I thought this? What do you think happened? I mean, what happens to somebody when they start to put so much emphasis on food being a determinant of their own happiness, how good they are, how perfect they are, how strong they are? That's a pretty big burden to carry on your shoulders, because it requires that you always have a perfect pattern of eating. And when you're putting that much pressure on yourself, then you are actually building more anxiety within your body, more stress, and your ability, your willpower to sustain it is not very high. You actually will binge. You'll get in front of foods and you'll be like, screw it. And you'll eat it in a very big quantity. And then you'll go back to beating yourself up and reaffirming, I'm not healthy. I'm not good. I can't stick to this plan. And that's usually what happens February 1st for everybody in their new year. And I don't want to see that happen to you guys. I've been there. I've done that probably 15 years of my new years. And just in the last three, I've transformed my life to a place where that no longer happens for me. But I know how it feels. So the question was, what do you think happened to me when I thought this? Well, it screwed me up. It screwed, if I screwed up with food program, it meant that I was screwed up. I literally was reaffirming that to myself. So I kept telling my mind, I kept telling my body, I must be screwed up. And I was tired all the time. I was grouchy all the time. I was short fused. I was, getting sick more often. I was attracting unhealthy relationships into my life, and my soul was just like, you're forgetting about me. Hey, wait a second, and I'm here. And yet I couldn't connect to it because I was so out of alignment. My mind was so full. It was so full of clutter. Um, and if I messed up on my workout plan, skipped a workout, didn't put my full effort in because sometimes the body needs a rest, it meant that I wasn't good enough. It meant that I wasn't serious or that I wasn't committed to ultimately improving my health. I mean, these were the thoughts that I was having. And I'd reaffirm this unworthiness of like, gosh, you just really can't get it together, Elizabeth. And this happened from the age of 6. I knew what the Atkins diet was. I knew what Jenny Craig was. I knew what Weight Watchers was. I knew what, Slim Fast was. I knew what Dexatrim was. I knew what St. John's wort pills were when I was 12 years old, because that's how deep I was actually believing that food and my actions, behaviors with food in my body were the determinants of my health and well-being. So I kept reaffirming to myself, I'm not healthy, I'm not beautiful, my body isn't right. I need to eat right and exercise a certain way in order to be this health, or in order to be beautiful, in order to be ultimately healthy. So just listen to that, because that goes back to the initial beginning part of this podcast where I talked about how it's so easy for our mind to reaffirm things that are not necessarily serving us or conducive for health and well-being. Okay. So I was trapped in a conversation, and it was an if then conversation. If I eat this, if I exercise that way, then I will be. And I talked about this in episode 48. Is my health and happiness conditional? I highly recommend you go back to that podcast and listen to this, because I'm just going to pause us here. And I want you guys to see, can you all hear my mind's chatter? Can you all hear it? It's like a battle. It's thoughts everywhere. And it's driving me to feel, angry and short fused and not happy and grumpy and upset with myself, and really put a lot of pressure on myself. And I'm carrying all of this weight, well, from a physical standpoint, yes, for a period of time I was, but energetically, of, not being perfect, not being good enough. And can you hear the flip flop? The beating myself up, the negative conversation, the idea that my value, my worth was dependent on what I ate. Okay. My worth was dependent on what I ate. How silly is this? How silly is this? And how how crazy, when we really think about it. And I just want to make sure, did you guys all hear that? And I see Vivian and Austin tuning into the live. And Austin, you put an attachment here. I didn't see. I'll have to take a look at that. And thank you guys for tuning in, and please share the video if you're tuning in and you like this. It will help me grow and reach the community, and I truly appreciate your listenership. So you guys are seeing that, there was this idea that I had that my worth was dependent on how I exercise and how I ate. And this, the work that I do now, Nourish the Soul now, I'm here in the place that I am now, because I absolutely do not believe that anymore. If I did, then I wouldn't be able to truly help people transform this relationship with themselves and ultimately achieve their personal successes. So staying back in my story, and staying back in the dialogue that I'm sharing with my little self, my old me. If I didn't do good with food or the right thing with food, often it meant I had to punish myself, which came along with a lot of negative thoughts. And can you see how the mind ultimately is at play here? Can you see it? That it's truly a master of the situation and convincing me that my worth is determined from an outside source, and that it's determined by food. And we can replace this with something else that many people struggle with. It's determined by if I have a boyfriend or girlfriend. It's determined if I get married by a certain point. It's determined by the amount of money that I make. It's determined by the how successful I am in the, against everybody else. It's determined by the size of my house. It's determined by how many cars I have in my driveway. So we can replace these things with a lot of different stuff. So food, very similarly, is a tool to see ourselves clearer, deeper. And so I was thinking that what I was eating or how I was eating, my behavior around it, was a real determinant of my worth. And this actually made me feel worse. It kept me, stuck. I wasn't growing at a fast rate. I was dating the wrong kinds of people. I was, not seeing my value. I wasn't holding clear boundaries. And being an extremely, extremely sensitive empath, I kept taking on more and more stuff. And my behavior with my food and my body and my self-esteem was actually being more and more degraded. I really felt awful about myself. And so many people will look at me and go, why? You are so beautiful. And when they would say that to me, I'd literally, my mind would go, you're such a liar. And it was so hard for me to accept a compliment. And, I wasn't connected to my spiritual self. I wasn't tapping into my soul self and letting my soul lead my life in a way that was fulfilling and, reflective of, setting out and intending and really achieving what I wanted. I was always in a struggle, and my mind was bringing more and more of what I didn't want because I was reaffirming with my unhealthy thoughts that I was not worthy, that I wasn't good enough. And so I was sad. I was lonely. I was depressed. And you know what? I've shared this in so many different podcasts, and you guys who are faithful listeners know this, but I was ready to give up at some points. I really was. And I couldn't hear spirit, and I couldn't, connect. And it was the loneliest I had ever felt in my entire life. And the bottom line is that food was never neutral for me. And I know so many millions and millions and millions of you don't feel neutral with food. And there was always a good, there was always a good and there was always a bad. And the bad tended to be things that brought me comfort, and I didn't want when I didn't want to feel something. And that's when I would eat chocolate and stuff in my feelings. And when I didn't want to deal with challenges, that's how somehow I made eating clean my focus, so I wouldn't have the time to think about anything else. So, does this sound like a person who has a healthy relationship with food? Someone you'd want to go to and get advice from and a meal, maybe give you a meal plan and tell you how to eat? Well, that's what I was doing 3 years ago. People were coming to me for my advice. I was getting paid to give people advice, and I literally was struggling with this myself. So, I was not showing up for them the way that they truly deserved. And I made it a mission, that I would, once I got myself clear and really figured out what my relationship with food was all about, that I would make it a mission of mine to serve people in the way that they truly deserve. So my belief around food really was that it was a source of my health, and I'll experience true well-being, and that when I eat the right way, that's how I'll be healthy. It kept me stuck because I was truly not aware of my feelings and thoughts. And remember, the first step to cleansing is about being mindful of your thoughts and feelings. And it wasn't until, so here's where the story starts to come to an end, that I got to the root. So my thoughts were a symptom of a root of believing that I was unworthy, feeling unworthy. The feeling comes first, then the thoughts, then the actions that don't serve you, like eating unhealthfully, like spending too much money, like being in relationships that are not serving you or that are actually disempowering you. We can interchange these things, or not being able to fulfill your purpose because you keep hitting a roadblock, or you set out to achieve something and you can't seem to quite ever accomplish it. There's a root feeling behind it. There's a root feeling. The second step, getting fit with food, is realizing there's a root feeling driving your behavior with food. Food is not the determinant of your health and well-being. It is not the source of life. It can enhance you. I do encourage people to eat high vibrationally. And I will take a moment to talk about intermittent fasting, because that was also another aspect of what I wanted to talk on the show. But before I get there, I believed that I had a root feeling that I was not good enough, and that my value was determined by food, my partners, people, money, outside things. And it wasn't until I discovered my worth, how valuable I was, really, really deep down there, that I realized I was good enough. And that I had a wealth of gifts and my talents, and that I had a wealth of beauty inside me, and I had a wealth of power, and I had a wealth of health, and that there was so much magic, because it allowed me to clear the clutter out of my mind. It allowed me to tune back into my body, and it allowed me to give permission for my soul to do the driving. And I was learning soul lessons, one right after another, very quickly. And I was seeing that I was already whole. There was no fixing that I needed. There was nothing wrong with me. And no matter how I ate or exercised, I was always going to be a beautiful, energetic, divinely connected being. That the true source of life came from the divine, and that was already inside of my body, and that the first way to really access it was to get clear with my thoughts, and secondly, see how my thoughts and feelings were directing my behavior, and get to the bottom of, if they were not serving me in a healthy way, clear it out, uproot, unearth the root feeling. And, when I got to that deep rooted feeling, that's how I got fit with food. I stopped seeing food as the determinant of my health. And I actually started to realize that if I fasted, if I did some intermittent fasting where, I went from a period of 6 to 12 hours. So, I ate breakfast and then, had a lunch and then stopped eating at 4 p.m. That I had to go then 12 hours without any nutrition, and that I was okay. because it actually allowed me to reach into a source of myself and hear myself clearer. So, do I recommend that anybody does this under the age of 18, under, not under guidance? No. So, if you're under age of 18 and you don't have a powerful coach or, some serious understanding of this, I highly don't recommend you do that. If you want to be in contact with me and you want to start working with me, and we can get parental consent, then of course, yes, I can work with you. I mean, over the age of 18, I understand you guys are adults. You'll investigate intermittent fasting, but I have a very specific method that I work with my clients on, and it is introduced into my online program. And I do give bits and pieces of how to intermittently fast. It's individual for each person, but essentially, you choose to go somewhere between 6 to 12 hours without a source of nutrition, and it's a way to actually get present to what you're thinking and feeling and really start to decide, is this serving me? Are my thoughts serving me? Are they really healthy for me? And they can more quickly get you to the root cause of why you are not achieving your personal successes, because you don't have the foundation of health that you want. So that's why I recommend intermittent fasting, particularly when you're doing the energy work with me. I'm an energy worker. I'm a light body transformationist. And so in my work, I am constantly moving energy around with my clients and allowing them to be really clear, and opening up that alignment to, once their mind is clear and they're thinking healthy, to sink deeper into the body. So intermittent fasting can help accelerate that and really help you get more in tune with the body, and then more in tune with the soul self, how to lead the life through soul. That is such a powerful way to lead life, because you can achieve and achieve and achieve whatever you set out to do. And you can actually transform your body and really have access to true health and well-being any time, no matter what you eat. Matter of fact, though, you will be very attracted to higher vibration foods, because you'll be walking in a higher vibration. So intermittent fasting is something that you can certainly explore. I welcome questions about it. You can email me questions at etriprd@gmail.com. It is somewhere between 6 and 12 hours. It's something that you can do. I recommend 2 days out of the week, for short periods of time. You can do longer fasts, like once a month. There's lots of different ways. Again, I tailor it to individuals, and what works for them. But I am saying today that I would much prefer you don't do this on your own, and that you actually work with me, because my method is very effective, and you see results right away. And I wouldn't want you to be in a position where things start coming up for you and you don't know how to handle them, because the mind is very powerful. And when you intermittently fast, you will come up with things that want to get out. It's a big way to cleanse. And if you're getting to the root cause of things, then you're going to see a major shift. So one of the benefits of being on my online course is, of course, having virtual access to me 24/7, and me being as your guide. I can help you do intermittent fasting very powerfully. So to get fit, we must be open to seeing that we are just energy. Okay. And that, what we think and how we're feeling are really the determinants of a reality, and they play a major role in our actions with our whole self. And for today's podcast and the content that we're talking about, specifically with food and the body. And if we want to get fit with food, we actually have to get to the root cause of what we're thinking and feeling, the bottom of it, and clear it out. We have to learn to let go of our feelings. And that's what we do in step 2, step 3, step 4 in the online program. And you can head over to befitmindbodyandsoul.com to get enrolled today. Don't wait, guys. This is a really great program. And I'm mentioning today, as we start to go for a close here, that one way to go deeper is to actually intermittently fast. And that helps us get more present to our thoughts and feelings and allows for us to start to sink deeper into the soul self. That's the sweet part of our existence. It's really going to allow us to achieve our successes and access that foundation of ultimate health, which is ultimately the pillar to how we keep achieving our personal success. Um, and it can be a way to remove heavy energy and really just feel better. And it's something that I do quite often, especially, even with the cold that I experienced on Friday. It was very clear to me that I needed to cleanse very powerfully so that I could get the body up to par. And I saw that it was a great tool for me to abstain from having very heavy foods or little nutrition throughout the weekend. And I feel great. So I'm leaving you guys all with this, okay? Albert Einstein says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. How many insane people do you see doing things this 2019? Going to the gym, working super hard, trying to follow that program strictly, trying to do the detox cleanse, and by February 1st, not seeing the results that they want, yet thinking and doing the same thing over and over again, thinking they'll get a different result. That is insanity. I'm offering you something completely different. I offer people a different method, and I offer people a method that creates massive shifts and results in your life. I offer you a permanent solution to your health and well-being. I am totally willing to say that if you do not get what you want out of my course or out of a session with me, I will give you your money back 100%. But I also say, I guarantee that that's not going to be the case. So that's how confident I am about my work. That is Nourish the Soul. And it is time to take the leap, do something different, truly transform and change. And this is your year. This is your year. I am calling you all to take action. I cannot wait to work with you. And I want all of you for this following week is to start pondering what it means to get fit with food after you listen to this podcast. What does it mean? Listen to last week, listen to this week, and now put the two of those things together. And what is your soul self guiding you to begin to see? This is an awesome show, guys. So excited to have been here. Thank you so much for all tuning in. And I'm going to sign out. Love and light. This is Elizabeth Tripp.